I said, hey, dude, people love Carlos.
Yeah. That's a beautiful story because, there's a lot of guys that won't go on stage in front of him.
I just didn't, bro. I won't,
Well, because
I don't want it to subconsciously attach to him.
That's right. That's right. You're right.
So if I can help him help himself, you know what I mean? I'm here for him, bro.
All right, Willie.
You got it, bro.
Thanks, man. Okay, well, here's what happened, Steve Trevino, who is nice enough to come over and talk to me about this. You opened for Mencia for how long?
Like going on 4 years.
You still do it?
No. I don't work with him anymore, thank God.
And you guys were friends?
We were good friends. As a Latino comedian, first of all, growing up, I saw him on HBO and thought to myself, that's the coolest guy. Because, I mean, he's that means I can make it.
Right.
I actually met Carlos Mencia when I was 18 years old.
Uh-huh.
And I opened up for him down in Corpus Christi, Texas, and that was how our relationship began. Was me meeting Mencia and Mencia, and at the time I thought this guy's the best comic ever.
Yeah. He's your hero.
Yeah, he's my hero. I mean, this guy's selling out. I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah.
And then I ended up on my own journey, and we crossed paths in Dallas, Texas. And at the time, I was opening for, I was on the road a little bit with Dave Attell, Mitch Hedberg, God rest his soul, Lopez.
George,
and Mencia kind of started hitting me up. And, I mean, by all means, I don't think these guys were hitting me up because I was a great comic. I think it was more that I was very accommodating.
And thematically appropriate.
Yeah, and I would, I'd hang out with these guys.
Yeah.
And Attell would go, hey, go hit on that girl for me, and go get me a shot of Jaeger, and there I'd go running, to hook him up or whatever.
So you did what you had to do to get to where you were.
Yeah, I did but I loved it.
Yeah,
it was these guys were my idols, and these guys were people that I admired as comics. And then Mencia came back through Dallas. As a comic, you do kind of a rotation through the clubs, and he came back through, and he told me, he said, look, man, I want to take you on the road permanently if you're up for it. And at the time, Lopez was about to get his TV show on ABC, the sitcom. And Lopez basically told me, he goes, look, Mencia's a horrible human being, and you shouldn't go with him. And Lopez said, if you like, I can help you out. The only problem is I'm not going to be doing stand-up that much because of the sitcom. Maybe I get you on as a PA or something in L.A. My whole goal is to be a sitcom. I mean, to be a comic.
Yeah.
So Mencia goes, all right, man, I'll take you on the road. And my first year on the road was with Pablo Francisco, Freddie Soto, God rest his soul, and Mencia. And it was the Three Amigos tour, and for me it was unbelievable. And that's when I first started hearing the rumors.
Yeah. That's
when Freddie Soto would go, bro, don't trust this guy.
Yeah.
Bro, watch what you tell him. Bro, and when you're a young comic, you don't know.
Right. Well, Freddie too. I haven't talked about that yet. That Freddie Soto was a great Latino comic who died very young, a few years back, and it was from what I understand, an incredible burden on him. The fact that Carlos seemed to be taking his material. Yeah,
it actually, Eleanor and I were talking about it the other day.
Eleanor works at the Comedy Store.
Works at the Comedy Store, and Eleanor and I were at the Comedy Store talking about it, and she says, it really depressed Freddie. And it was frustrating for Freddie, who was trying to make that next jump in his career, and here's Mencia, using his material on Mind of Mencia to continue to make more and more money.
Now, you wrote for that show.
I wrote on the first season of that show, yeah.
Now, so you're back, you're rolling with Carlos for a few years, and what was your experience with that? With it, now that you knew the rumors, and what was your experience with that? Well,
the way that he would put it was, like he would take a joke from me, or I'd come up with a premise and I'd pitch it to him, and then he would do it on stage, and he'd go, bro, you work for me. I pay you.
So you would pitch jokes that you were working on for yourself?
For myself, right. I'd go, oh man, I got this idea about X, Y, and Z, and he'd go, let me show you how to do it. And then he'd go on stage and do it, and before he knew it, it was gone. It was no longer mine. But at the time, he would go, look, man, I pay you week in, week out. I'm your income. So basically, you're writing for me. So if I take something from you,
it's legit.
It's legit. You're writing for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm on the road. We were doing 50 weeks a year. Probably one of the best times of my life. Middling for him. And then I was still living in Dallas, Texas at the time.
Yeah.
And then you would hear the rumors, but not so much. And then he wouldn't want me to move to L.A. I would go, bro, I want to move to L.A. I want to continue my career. And he'd go, no, stay in Dallas. You're fine.
Yeah.
Now I realized that now that I came to LA, the reason he didn't want me to come to LA was because I'd find out all the BS.
Which was what he was doing.
Right, what he was doing, he was stealing, and that kind of thing, and his reputation. Because on the road, you'd hear it very little.
Well, he admits in the interview that he's had that reputation his entire career. So, I mean, that must mean something.
Yeah, exactly.
But the way he frames it, and what's interesting to me is that, in my mind, look, if a joke is that easy to take, especially if it's a ethnocentric joke, that, it becomes difficult to really trace the creator of it if it doesn't really have a trademark voice. Right. Or that the joke is completely creative.
I always tell people if a civilian can come up with the joke, then you're probably not onto it.
Right. And there's and I'm not apologizing for anybody, but it just seems like even as I talk to Willie or I talk to you and I hear about George and, that this comes down to a personal matter, that the subject matters that Latino comics talk about in light of, family, community, food, immigrant issues. These are fairly common premises.
Right, which is why I don't do those premises.
Right.
As a stand-up, I made a conscious effort to go, you know what, I'm not going to do anything Latino. Everything I'm going to do is whatever's happening in my life.
Yeah, it's a weird thing about this, because even, after I talked to Willie and I've talked to other people, I really think that there's a difference between being, derivative or using stock premises and actually lifting someone's joke. I mean, in a general sense.
Well, and also, and that's the sad part about Mencia. I used to watch that guy day in, day out. We would do 50 weeks a year, and we would do every major comedy club in the country, and sometimes 10 shows a week. And there was times where he'd have an hour and a half of original, amazing, funny stuff. And then there's times where you're like, dude, why did you do that?
Right.
I remember watching him do a bit, and I thought to myself, this guy's the greatest comedian ever, because first he tells me the idea. I got this idea for a bit.
Yeah.
And then that night he does like 20 minutes on that subject, and I'm like, this guy's amazing.
Yeah.
Then I'm watching Comedy Central, and I realize that it's a Jim Gaffigan bit.
Uh-huh. So now the Cosby thing, I talked to Mencia about that, and he said, "Look, I'm not going to steal from an icon."
He told me that he had never seen Bill Cosby himself. That special. Because I had called him out. That day when we were filming that special, I was on set. I was there for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Me and all the writers from the Mind of Mencia. And the first person that I contacted was Jeff Schimmel. And I told Jeff Schimmel, I said, dude.
The other writer?
One of the writers.
Yeah.
Robert Schimmel's brother.
Yeah.
And I told Jeff, I said, this guy is doing Bill Cosby. He's got to stop.
Yeah. That bit.
Yeah, that bit. This is ridiculous. We went over to Mencia's agent, his managers, and I told them all. I said, look, people already think he's a thief. He's already in trouble for that. It's going to look bad on him. Tell him to stop. And this is me being Mencia's friend.
Yeah.
Trying to look out for the guy.
Yeah.
And there we are the day of, and he goes into it, and I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And then, of course, when the writers went in to edit the special, they edited that out.
Right.
And then later on, when Rogan found it, it was because they did the unedited version.
The DVD.
The DVD. And then it came out. But it was like, come on, dude. And then Mencia looks at me in the face and goes, I've never seen Bill Cosby himself. And I'm like, really, dude? That special is one of the most famous stand-up specials of all time. You're telling me you have every comic in the country and every future comic in the country is going to watch that special. There's no way.
I think I saw it when I was younger.
Yeah, I saw it very young.
But, okay, I guess the big question for me is, because, I talked to Willie, and he seems to believe in this, and this is something I encountered with Robin. It's something I encountered with people that, work at a frenetic pace, that have to fill a lot of time. Do you think that he, literally says, I'm taking that bit? Or do you think that he hears it and doesn't know that he's taking that bit?
I think he doesn't know. I think that he's ill. I think that he, one time we were driving down the road before this TV show, and he goes, how do you see it going down for you, Trevino? And I said, well, man, when I'm famous, I want to have a tour bus, and I want to tow my motorcycles around.
Yeah.
I go, that way if I want to ride my bike, I can jump out of the tour bus, ride the bike across the country, right?
Right.
Guess who has a tour bus?
He does.
Guess who has motorcycles behind it?
It's almost sad.
It is sad. And actually, I always tell people I laugh because I go, man, he's even stolen my best friend. See, my best friend growing up, when we were on tour, I got him to tour with me and Mencia.
Yeah.
And now Joey still tours with Mencia.
Yeah, I ran into Joey. He's the guy that put me in